We're live.
Yay.
Hooray! Now, the last couple days, people have said that Alpha Geek Radio wasn't picking up. So I'm
Yeah,
gonna.
I had issues too.
I
Um,
tried to get a hold of Todd, but he hasn't got back to me yet. I just
he's
got
harder to
tried.
get a hold of lately, but I did notice it wasn't. It was giving me trouble yesterday, but today was okay on TMS, so maybe you'll be all right.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and try it. There we go. Samara Lynn's going to be on the show. Thank you for joining us again, Samara.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. We are going to talk home networking. We're going to talk crazy optical zoom in a phone. Talk a little bit about Twitter, Snapchat. And Scott, I put us alternating these top three here.
Oh, okay. I can do that. Oh yeah, I see the S and the T now.
Yep. You just had the one there. Are you guys, Samara, are you guys covering like the Google video conferencing, like the Google Meet? Is that enterprising enough?
We haven't, but it's just something that I keep my eye on more for to see if it's of interest to our audience.
It seems like a toe in the water sort of situation there.
How so?
Well,
Are they just like kind of experimenting?
Yeah, like, well, comparing it to what Amazon did, right? Where they're like, this, here's your enterprise contracts, and this is the per site, per user license. This is like, here's Hangouts, but with 30 people instead of 10, Like, what do you think?
Yeah, that's very Google-y.
Yeah.
They have a tendency to release things like that.
Definitely.
Do you think it's sometimes I feel like it's more they can do that, and other companies have a lot more at stake if they don't have the perfect, watertight launch.
That's so true.
Yeah, maybe that's a nice thing for them to be able to do, and maybe it makes them.
Oh yeah.
It's interesting.
I always get nervous when they launch a new video conferencing app because it usually causes problems with Hangouts on air. I think we're okay so far.
The announcement.
What's that?
Did it hit all the app stores yesterday? I can't remember.
Yeah, it just kind of showed up. They didn't make a big deal out of it. So I mean that sort of is part of it too. They're not out there trumpeting it. They just sort of slipped it into the app store.
Well, the reason I asked is I was having Hangout issues specifically yesterday, and I thought, what is going on?
Yeah, maybe something to do with that. Schnago in our chat room's like, everything causes issues with Hangouts, though. It's hard to tell.
Just saying that Schnago was going to mess up Hangouts today.
I remember they had some video conferencing app 2 years ago that they launched, some video conferencing feature, and Hangouts didn't work that day, and Jenny Josephson was convinced that that was it. All right, well, let's get going. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Here we go. Daily Tech News Show is powered by its audience. To find out more, head to dailytechnewsshow.com/support. This is the Daily Tech News for Wednesday, March 1st, St. David's Day, 2017. I'm Tom Merritt. Joining me, Scott Johnson, alongside for the Wednesday festivities. How have you been, Scott?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm curious what St. David's famous for. Can you tell me in a nutshell? What did he do?
I don't know, but I know it's the Welsh national holiday, and they used to celebrate by pinning a leek to their shirt.
I thought maybe it was because Stupid Human Tricks was so great in the 80s that David Letterman finally got his own holiday.
Finally was canonized. I don't know. That may be a new reason for it. Joining us today to talk a little bit later on about home networking technology, technology editor at Black Enterprise Magazine, Samara Lynn. Samara, great to have you alongside. Thanks for spending some time and sharing your expertise with us today.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so excited to join you today.
I was so pleased when we got online at first, and Samara has actually watched the show before, which I don't always assume that anyone has done. So that was nice to know. Well, we got some news to get to before we get to the main discussion. For instance, Oculus lowered the price of its Rift headset Wednesday to $500, down from $600. And then the Oculus Touch motion controllers got cut in half. They're now $100, down from $200. And if you bought either in the last 30 days, they're going to give you a $50 credit in the Oculus digital store.
It's a killer deal, but I know $200 off is a great deal actually, but I'm a little concerned as to why that dropped so quick, and I don't know what that says about Oculus. So I guess we'll find out a little later. The first Microsoft partner for mixed reality, that would be Acer, will start shipping a headset to developers today, with more partners to follow this month. Plus, Microsoft confirms the Xbox and Project Scorpio will get mixed reality experiences in 2018. Kind of a big announcement there.
Yeah. It's interesting to see that finally shipping, although still want to see what uses they put it to. I think that's part of the reason Microsoft is putting them out there too.
Yeah.
Google has an enterprise-level video conferencing app that handles up to 30 participants and integrates with G Suite at meet.google.com and in the iOS App Store. It's kind of sneakily slipped it out there if you want to go check that out. Now here are some more top stories. All right, Twitter VP of Engineering Ed Ho posted about new anti-harassment features Wednesday. Users can mute specific words, including usernames. So you can just say, if they ever say donuts, I don't want to see it. Not that that would be harassment, but you can just mute anything from your timeline. Before, you could mute things from notifications. Now you can do it from your timeline. Users can choose to mute accounts with the default egg avatar and unconfirmed email addresses or phone numbers. Those are often bots and spam and trolls. And so you could just say, I don't even want to see those until they've taken the time to set up their profile. Proactive measures will attempt to identify abusive accounts and take actions like limiting visibility only to your direct followers for a period of time. So if you fall afoul of the rules, you'll still be able to post. You just won't be seen in the public timeline. And Twitter will start notifying you when it takes action after you report something. Before, it was you would report and you'd wonder if something ever happened. Now they'll take some measures to let you know what happened. Scott, these are being well received, but Twitter's got a lot of work to do to win some people's trust.
It's a nice early start. I think there's plenty more to do. I also think it's a little weirdly late. All these features are coming a little bit late in the now 11-year cycle of the service. I would like to see more. However, the first thing that came to my mind when I saw the you can automatically sort of mute or block essentially eggheads from talking to you, I went, oh, that's great. That actually makes a ton of sense. A lot of what I have to dig through are either fake accounts or troll accounts that were set up 5 minutes ago just to give me a hard time or whatever, and I can just sort of ignore those. But then I started to think, how advanced is that checking? In other words, could I upload an exact JPEG replica of the egg avatar, and will that now see me as a new guy or somebody who's more established on the service, or will that still get caught as, you know, it's just an egg guy? I don't know. I feel like someone's going to game the system is all. And oftentimes people do. So we'll see. They're small steps. They're all in the right direction. I hope it leads to more, concrete features in the future in terms of creating better security, better privacy, and better control over the kind of garbage that we get on Twitter right now.
Yeah, Samara, what do you think about this? I know you use Twitter. I don't know how much you do.
A lot.
Yeah. So how are these received by you?
You know, if I recall, didn't Twitter roll out not too long ago a set of sort of checks, and then they had to roll them back? It just seems like Twitter never really gets it right. And I think this was after the whole Leslie Jones harassment thing, which we covered quite extensively. But, you know, I don't know. I think if Twitter figures out that secret sauce of how to kind of gain some control, maybe they can figure out how to finally make some money with the platform too.
Well, yeah. And how do you get people who aren't using it anymore or using it less or afraid to post? Some people still read it, but they're like, I just don't want to talk on it. And afraid, maybe even overstating it, but just tired, right? How do you get those people to come back?
Yeah, maybe some really enhanced good privacy and control would entice those users.
Yeah, I know people that it would help for sure, but also just something needs to be done. Like, I'm happy just to have, even if this is just really easy groundwork, like this whole blocking egg avatars, I feel like they could have done that 7 years ago and everybody would have been happy. So I don't know why I keep coming back to why is it taking them so long to do this stuff? But I'm trying to have the attitude of, great, you're doing it now. That's good. Maybe we've just hit a critical mass to the point where this is now is when it has to happen. Like now more than ever, we've got to plug up that dam. And that's great. I think that that's great whenever they start doing it, but they have a lot to prove, and they've had a long history of at least looking like they don't care that much about this side of things. So this is their chance. I think we should all give them a window to figure it out. And if they can, great. And if not, well, back to scrutiny heaven, I guess.
Yeah. Like Samara says, we'll see if this brings enough people back for them to increase monetization.
Yeah, that's true. Also, my avatar currently is a drawing of a guy wearing a piece of paper with a blue egg avatar on his face. I wonder if
I imagine they just look at a setting to see if they've added one rather than image recognition. But that's interesting. Yeah,
it would be funny if I got blocked because of that. I kind of want to leave it up to see. Part of me wants to see. Anyway, Facebook announced new tools to help prevent suicides. This is really interesting. Oh, this is you. Sorry, let me scooch back up. Sources tell Katie Benner of the New York Times that Snap Incorporated, this is the parent company of everyone's favorite social network, I suppose, developed a camera-equipped UAV that could take overhead pictures and video and post them directly to Snapchat. It was unclear, however, if the drone will go on to market or end up in the market, but it was developed as part of CEO Evan Spiegel's vision of Snap as a modern camera company. Snap also set its IPO price at $17 a share, valuing the company at $24 billion. Generating $4 billion in cash. And that was all the talk on every financial site I saw today.
Yeah, so a couple of things going on here. One is Snapchat didn't get all the way to the top of their range, but they got above what they wanted to have for sure. So they're making some money there. That's definitely going to happen. And the other one is not so much that they would put out a UAV or a quadcopter type product, but that they are thinking about that. I mean, it does show an answer to one of the questions of the IPO, which is how is Snapchat going to make money? Can they keep making money off advertising? And I think Evan Spiegel's indicating, well, one of the ways we want to make money is to sell products, to become a photography company. And Samara, do you see yourself using Snapchat as a photography company?
Well, I'm a little bit probably older than their average demographic user, but I think they had the Snap glasses.
Yeah, the spectacles,
so
right?
That kind of an introduction of them trying to create some product, and I think you're right. I think they're going to have to figure out a monetization model because even with Twitter, even advertising, that's not going so well for them, and I wonder if Snap is going to be in the same boat.
Yeah. I would throw this out. That is not a company I would associate with quality photography. Just straight up.
Right.
That's not Snapchat's strength. It never has been. In fact, it was always annoying to me that all other social network media apps tended to take better photos raw from the camera than you could do from within Snapchat. For some reason, they always just felt a little muddy, a little blurry, a little crusty, and they still do to me. So I assume that part of that is sort of an overhead. Nobody cares. The people who love Snapchat like the raw nature of it. They want it just to be, quick and fast and easy. And who cares if it's a little bit of a ruddy looking JPEG or whatever. But to call yourselves a photography company and all that implies probably means they need to improve that some, because I don't think they have that reputation at all at this point. So
you mean putting animal ears on me in the Snapchat filter doesn't
make
them a photography company?
Nice look. Real nice. Yeah. But yeah, like they've done so many things right, and the one thing they're hanging their hat on in terms of getting investors excited is this one thing they've kind of traditionally been terrible at. So I don't know how that's going to go for them.
Well, the best camera you have is the Snapchat you have with you, as the cliche goes. Facebook announced new tools to prevent suicide. Scott just mentioned this a minute ago. Here's the rest of that story. If a friend reports concerns during a live video, or if Facebook's AI detects a pattern of concern, Facebook staff, special staff devoted to this, will be alerted and review the report quickly and provide suicide prevention resources to the person in question if they feel like this is a legitimate report. Facebook partnered with Crisis Text Line, the National Eating Disorder Association, and the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline to develop the program. People in crisis will be available to connect directly with mental health services through Facebook Messenger. So we often talk about, combating hoax news reports and trolls and all of that. And we were just talking about that with Twitter, but this is Facebook being very proactive in a significant mental health area.
Can I give it false positives if I go on there and just say things that put me in the light?
Well, and that's why they have the staff reviewing this, is to say, okay, does this look like someone who's actually in distress? These are folks trained to do that. The AI is just kind of flagging it to say, hey, you might want to look at this and see if there's cause for concern. And there's a lot of talk in this article about striking the balance between violating someone's privacy and forcing them away and making help available to them. And sort of, how do you make sure that you're not intruding, but at the same, and driving someone away from help, but at the same time making sure they have a door to walk through.
Yeah, I assume my sister, who's a psychologist, currently in Sweden, but she deals with a lot of clients who some of their issues are suicide or suicidal thoughts, and she tells me that the signs are often very obscure calls for help. And let's say with young people, that includes their social networks and them making, not passive aggressive is not the right word, but veiled sort of statements that could be interpreted as, this is the beginning of something. We need to zero in on this. That's where that's where I'm really curious about this, to see if they can zero in on that stuff effectively and accurately and do some real good. Cause that would be amazing given the reach that Facebook has. And, the tendency for a lot of people before committing suicide, they tend to go to Facebook and leave letters and things. And it'd be nice if somehow we could get in between them and that and make a difference.
Yeah, I think this is Facebook taking some responsibility for the fact that they see a lot more than anything else in existence right now that's happening. Samara, I don't see there's much negative here, except for the privacy implications, maybe.
Yeah, but I think that's kind of huge. I mean, I worked in IT healthcare for a lot of years before getting into journalism, and with HIPAA and privacy laws, and that's a real slippery slope. I think it's great. It's been pretty horrifying, some of the news of some of the suicides that have occurred on Facebook Live, especially. But I definitely think there will be some privacy issues.
Yeah, that is a delicate balance for sure.
Pretty much a guarantee. Well, the reviews for the Nintendo Switch are out in advance of its shipping on Friday. Mine should be here Friday afternoon, I hope. So far, most of the reviews are pretty positive and tend to credit it with being a better mobile console than it is a home console, something I think a lot of us sort of predicted a little bit, but that's all coming to light now. Anyway, but nothing that's switching between the two works well. That seems to be pretty good. Negative focus on the lack of launch titles and horsepower of the device itself. The review I read earlier today in Ars Technica was really glowing about the portability side of the usage of this device outside of battery life. Battery life is an issue and a problem. Also, the USB-C charger that is underneath the unit, if you want to charge it and use it as a portable device, is kind of just sticking awkwardly down and out. So it's hard to sort of set it somewhere without just sort of pinching the cord, which can lead to shorts and things like that. I'm really anxious to get it on Friday. I'm sure that me and multiple co-hosts of DTNS during the week are going to have lots of takes on that device, and I'm very much looking forward to reporting in with what I think.
Yeah, we're actually delaying our Friday show until Saturday morning because we want to talk to Lertad in Thailand about the differences in e-commerce there, but it also gives us a chance to spend a little more time playing around with this thing. And Patrick Beja will be on the show to give some responses to that, or some reactions to that as well. Now, Samara, I know you're in the Xbox land, I've seen.
I am.
Do you ever Zelda or Mario? Does this tempt you?
I don't, but when I was with PC Mag, I worked with Will Greenwald and Jeff Wilson, and they're really the gaming analysts, and they're pretty intrigued by this thing. So their intrigue is getting me intrigued. So I'm going to follow the reviews and see how it pans out, how the overall consensus is on this thing. It looks interesting.
Yeah,
it's like,
it is.
You know,
It's a very
handheld
interesting take.
console.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And for anyone who missed it, was it yesterday, or the day before? Anyway, there was a big announcement about third-party indie support for this device, and they released the names of games and developers who are currently working on titles for the Switch, either close to launch or thereafter. And it is an impressive list. It is almost Steam-like in terms of its in terms of its breadth and variety. So that's a huge thing for me, especially because I'm a big indie freak. I think the promise of seeing a lot of that stuff happen on PlayStation Vita was sort of realized and then kind of forgotten. There's a chance to do it here, and you're also talking about a Nintendo platform that has a hyper focus on quality first party titles. If they filled in the rest with third party indie titles, and right now is the best time for those kinds of games, this will turn this device into something really special. So there's a lot that can go right, and there's a few things that can go wrong, and everybody's just holding their breath and crossing their fingers, and Nintendo's got it under control.
My buddies at PC Mag love it. I mean, they called it fantastic, and they're sticklers when it comes to their gaming gear. So
yeah, I remember working with Will several years back, and yeah, he does not give his love undeservingly.
Right.
Put it that way. So yeah, I mean, it sounds like when it's in console mode, it has a few quirks, a few problems, but when it's in mobile mode, it works great. So
yeah, I mean, there's this grand goal of saying, and everybody making video games has always had this goal. Nintendo maybe is the only one to try to match it or get there, but where we could have as powerful a unit in our hand as we do when we connect it to our television, and they're not quite there. It's almost there, and it's impressively there, but it's not PS4, Xbox One there. And that's probably okay because you can do a lot with stylization and the kind of graphics people expect from Nintendo consoles and hardware. I think you can get away with a lot, but scaling up from what's in your hand to what's on your TV isn't as easy as it sounds, or as it's not that quick of a transition. Mm-hmm. So I think that it's going to be fine in that way, but the real plan or the real usage for this thing is going to be on the go. And I'll bet a second generation of this thing attacks the battery power problem in a major way. They always have a second revision that's always better than their last gen of hardware. So those early adopters like me are probably chomping at the bit for what really would end up being its version of a DS Lite, or its version of, the 3DS XL or something, where all of the things we liked about it are there, yet it's improved in some other way. That's kind of their pattern. And, good luck on that. Probably another year before that comes out.
I'm going to know that there are people in the audience right now who are like, the performance on that is crap. I would never use that. And for you, my friends, we have Nvidia launching the GeForce GTX 1080i Ti video card. The new GPU is largely based on the same GP102 chip as the Titan X. With 3,584 stream processors, 224 texture units. Nvidia says the 1080 Ti edges out the Titan X on performance. And they'd have no reason to lie. They're both their own product. And they attribute that to 11 gigabytes of GDDR5X VRAM clocked at 11 gigahertz, resulting in higher memory bandwidth of 484 gigabytes per second. Pre-orders begin March 2nd at 11 a.m., shipping March 10th if you've got $700 to spare. And if you don't, NVIDIA announced a price cut to the GTX 1080. That's only $500 now.
I love that they call it the old 1080.
Oh, that's me calling it the old, not them. No.
Yeah, but that thing just came out, and this is the rate at which we get video card revisions from NVIDIA. So this puts me in a weird position. I currently have a gaming PC with last generation's fastest card, which was the 980 Ti. So the Ti level card, but in the last gen. And when the 1080 came out, I was being told by NVIDIA themselves that looking at performance stuff, we weren't talking about a huge jump from the 1080 from the 980 Ti. But this is substantial. If it's beating Titan X on speed and performance, gosh dang it. I don't have $700 laying around, but I really want one. And I suspect this is going to sell well. Samara, are you excited about a hot new contender in the video card world?
It's been a while since I've had or rigged up a gaming desktop, but I'm telling you, that is just one word for it, is sick.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. That is the appropriate description that Nvidia should be putting in their press releases. 484 gigabytes per second memory bandwidth is, yeah, I think that qualifies probably as sick.
It's incredible. It's going to be great, and I'm very much looking forward to it. Speaking of numbers that have gone higher, The Verge's Vlad Savov noticed a new 5x optical zoom and image stabilization for smartphones from Oppo. It's a Chinese company. This is being shown at Mobile World Congress. 5x dual camera zoom uses a prism to direct light to a second sensor that lies sideways inside the phone to let it have a longer lens. It's actually kind of ingenious if you look at it. Without really thickening the phone, think of it as like a periscope, the way you'd use in like a pirate movie or whatever. Oppo says the assembly is 5.7 millimeters thick and should be available in one of its phones by the end of the year. And Tom, you were saying before the show, they currently hold the number 3 spot in total.
I think it's 3. Yeah, they're one of the top selling smartphone makers in the world, and they sell almost all their phones in China. This is an ingenious attempt. And Vlad Savov, who I respect, says that the images look pretty good. He's got a full evaluation at The Verge, of course. I would like to see it in use myself, but optical image stabilization and optical zoom at 5x seems impossible without making, the phone this thick, like a DSLR thick, right? So I love this approach. And I love these kind of design quirks where you look at it and you say, gosh, why didn't I think of that? Yeah, just lay it sideways. Now, before the show, Roger Chang was saying one of the problems you'll have there is your image quality just can't be as good when you're slowing the speed of light down. I mean, obviously not that much, but you're sending it through that prism.
Sure. That seems like there may be some degradation. It'll be hard to measure it. But is this, my bigger question is this something that Oppo could patent or sell or license to other phone manufacturers? Because that's where it seems a little bit world changing. If it does everything it's promised, you could see this in everybody from Samsung to Apple, and it seems like it'd be good for Oppo to sort of own that technology.
Well, Apple will come up with their own version that is tilted the other way, and then Oppo will have to sue them for patent violations, and that'll drag on for years, right?
Apple could turn around and sue them because Apple sounds like Oppo, and you could
there you go.
Yeah, it'd be amazing.
Really I'm not saying Samsung wouldn't do the same thing, but yeah, no, if this works, this could add optical zoom to lots of phones one way or another.
Yeah, seems really neat.
Samara, does it seem too crazy to work to you?
It's just, it's kind of blowing my mind. It's so like, how come no one did that other than this company that I've never heard of before? And it's a palindrome, which is extra cool.
Yeah, exactly. Just extra points for that too. I'm very curious about this, but I think it's probably, I don't like to call things undercovered because there's so many things to cover in the world of technology, but I think there might be something more to this than meets the eye. It could be totally wrong. Maybe it's just...
Before you get flooded with emails that my pirate comparison is wrong, I know what a periscope is. It's like, I should have said, like submarine. They look up, it goes out. So that is obviously different than like a long telescope is what I was thinking of.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Isn't that kind of the idea where the degradation can come from? You're refracting.
Yeah, because it's taken a right turn. Exactly. So again, you're talking about taste though. Like somebody who's like, I just need a camera that's good, but I want to be able to get a really good zoom. I hate that digital pixelization. I don't care if it's the crispest picture in the world, but make it a little better when I zoom 5x, right? That's what this could do.
We'll do it. Yep.
If you want to get all the tech headlines each day in less than 10 minutes, I've got an idea for you. Subscribe to dailytechheadlines.com, our sister show, and that's a look at the top stories. All right, folks, lots of options out there if you're putting together your home network or you're upgrading your home network. And one of the big trends is these mesh networking routers. Eero was one of the first to market, but there's also Luma and Netgear's Orbi and the Google Wi-Fi, and the list goes on. So Scott and I were talking a while back, and you were saying, Scott, like, I don't know if I really need this, if I want this, how it works, right?
Yeah, and not only that, we at the time said, wouldn't it be cool if we get a guest in here who knew more about these things than we do? And so, Samara, we couldn't be more thrilled to have you here. And I've got a couple of questions for you. You open for a few?
Absolutely.
All right. First of all, explain what a mesh network is in the simplest of terms. Because when you talk to somebody like me, I'm fairly tech savvy. I know what I'm doing. I build my own computers. I do this stuff here and there. But when it comes to Wi-Fi or internet connectivity, I'm just like, give me a router. I want it to work. Am I getting speed for Netflix to come through the way it's supposed to? And then I kind of try to set it and forget it. But mesh networking it goes a little bit further to give you maximum bandwidth, better control, better security potentially. Tell me how all that's supposed to work.
So your traditional router, you set it up, it emits its, its bandwidth or its signal throughout your house. But the problem with the way the antennas are in a lot of the traditional routers would kind of look like these flat, things that with antennas sticking out of them, is that they have very limited range. So a lot of times you buy this like $200, $300 router and you won't be able to get a signal upstairs in your bedroom. So along comes this idea of mesh networking, and it's not really new. Mesh networking has been in businesses and enterprises for quite some time. And the concept of a mesh network is instead of one router, you kind of split up a router. You have all these little nodes, and you put them all around in an area. And then these nodes, they sort of communicate with each other to make sure that there's wide area coverage of Wi-Fi.
So when
sort
I
of
have
blankets.
when you used to go and buy like just a Wi-Fi extender, that's not quite the same though, is it? Like
not the same. It's not the same because an extender, it's continuing that signal, but what's happening with an extender is that it halves the throughput. So you're really making a sacrifice in speed.
I see. So you're basically creating your own we're kind of like your own wide area network within the space.
Exactly. With Wi-Fi. Exactly.
Why is that so expensive, and is it worth it? I mean, I know it's early days, and so this stuff, the way this stuff tends to go is it gets less expensive as higher adoption. But why is it so much more expensive than it is just to get a Wi-Fi router?
Well, there's more hardware. The antennas are more sophisticated. I was given a kind of sneak peek by Linksys. They have something called Velop coming out this spring, and that's their mesh networking system. And they've absolutely rejudged their entire router line to accommodate the new, more complex antenna structure. And that probably adds to the cost. But what I'm seeing with a lot of these solutions too is they're pretty sophisticated with their software. They do a lot with security. They do a lot with, intruder detection. You can see who's popping onto your Wi-Fi. So I think there's some cost involved with that. I think what they're kind of hoping is that you get an Arrow or you get Luma and you have it, and that's pretty much going to be your solution for 5 or 10 years. So it's sort of an investment.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, but let's say I'm in a studio apartment. It's just me. I got a kitchen right next to my bed for all I know. All right. That's not where I live. But if I live that way, somewhere in New York, in fact, probably just a Wi-Fi router is going to be all I need. Right. Yeah. Unless
you sleep in a Faraday cage or some crazy new thing, you're good with just a regular.
Which probably a couple of our listeners do, but yeah.
Right. Probably do. And I'm glad you brought that up because my studio where I'm recording from right now is inadvertently a little bit of a Faraday cage. I have this ceiling system that we built custom that turns out to be really great for podcasting and lots of other reasons why it's good, but it is kind of bad on Wi-Fi signals getting out of here. So it seems like I would benefit from some sort of mesh network where I could get sort of equal bandwidth penetration throughout the house if I just went for more than just this Wi-Fi router and hope for the best upstairs.
Yeah, if any situation where you've gotten like a high quality dual band Wi-Fi router, like more of a top shelf one within the last 5 years, let's say, and you still have dead zones, you want to look into a mesh networking solution. Definitely.
So do you have, I realize that everyone's going to have a different situation. Like I mentioned, somebody in a single room flat may not have to even worry about this, but when is a 2 or 3 pack necessary? Like, what do you think the threshold is?
It depends on the square area. I talked with Paul Judge at CES, and I had asked him that very question. I think he had told me the 2-pack was for about up to 1,000 square feet, if I recall. And I think they sell from 2 to 3 to 6 packs. But they have guidelines as far as area space, the square footage, as to what you should go with.
So in
my
and then, of course, you could always get 2 and then add on.
Yeah,
right.
And I can say from my own experience with the Eero, our ONT, where the fiber comes in, is at one end. And so that changed how I had to arrange things. I thought I could do it one way, and it's not the square footage in my case so much as the length to be able to just get it all the way over to the other end of the house.
Yeah. Yep.
So in my also relatively unique case, is it going to still? I mean, is the fact that the ceiling's here going to be a problem either way? Because let's say one of the nodes is in here, and the other node's upstairs someplace, and a third node somewhere else at the end of the house. Any consideration for that part of this? Should you bring a professional in and say, hey, map me out, make sure this is all done the way that it absolutely should be done? Or can an average Joe do it as long as he's willing to, buy the 3-pack he needs?
Well, one of the great things about, and I've actually only looked at the software on Luma, so I can't speak to Eero, even though I have it at my desk. I haven't opened it yet. Luma has software capability where it will advise you where to place each node. So it can actually measure the throughput and see how, negotiate the range, and then it'll advise you, kind of give you direction as to where to place the nodes, the extra nodes. So there is some intelligence built in the software.
Yeah, Eero has a little bit of a similar system too, and I used that when one node on the end just wasn't as fast as it should be. It wasn't giving me a warning, but it just wasn't as fast. I could tell when I was around that node, and so I used that system, and I ended up moving one of the other of the 3, and it solved it. It's been great ever since.
Yeah. And I think kind of like when we were speaking about the Nintendo, it's still early for this consumer mesh networking. And I think when we see the second generation come around, it's going to get a lot better.
Oh, interesting. And in terms of timeline, how long do you think we wait for the sort of 2.0 of this technology?
I would say it's probably going to be on par when we first started seeing 802.11ac routers come out. At first, a lot of us in the analysts, we were measuring and we're like, we don't really see any difference. And then when the second generation came out about 2 years later, we were like, okay, wow, yeah, we get it. So I would say within maybe another 12 to 24 months, you'll start seeing the second generation, like CES 2019, I would say.
All right. Well, that's probably good. Some people are sort of sitting on this and waiting, deciding what to do. So let's talk just briefly about security. Are we okay to depend on the router's firewall, and or are there special things to do? Or again, is this software smart enough to just sort of walk us through it and not, and give us all the security we need without us having to know everything about it?
Yeah, I think for the average person, the firewall should be baked in with the router, and it's pretty sufficient. We had that big DDoS, that bot that took over routers, I think last summer, and was like compromising people's home networks. Well, I know I was speaking to Dr. Judge over, the founder of Luma. He was saying how, they really took pains to avoid that sort of compromise. And I would bet most of the other networking router vendors did the same.
Yeah.
We had a guy in our Slack asking us earlier today if there's any good scanners out there for just scanning your home network. I mean, we're all used to having scanners running on individual devices, right? But I didn't know of anything in particular. I know there's an Internet of Things scanner that'll look and see if your IP address is compromised and things like that. But I don't know if you know of anything, or if we just throw it out to the audience, if anybody does, of just a good way to scan your own network. That there's plenty of hacker tools for that, but something that's sort of plug and play for someone that really doesn't want to get as deep into it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know off the top of my head, but I know just really, securing the endpoints, before and having that firewall in the router and having that enabled before it even gets past, the perimeter into your network. On the fly, probably it's just something that's really left up to the router. I don't know of any independent scanning solutions, for a home user.
Are there any do-it-yourself tricks that you know of, or that anybody's gone through? I mean, I know with Wi-Fi, as it's continued to evolve, it used to be very popular to attach like a Pringles can to your router or whatever, and really extend the range to these very sort of Mad Max kind of ways of doing things. Is there anything in the mesh world that's cropping up where people are like, oh, by the way, if you connect it to this pipe in your basement, you're really going to get good speed or whatever?
Well, I mean, I guess the precursor to this mesh networking was someone just taking a router and then taking another router and connecting them to extend the network, bridging them. So, I mean, if you want to go that way, you can, but I don't think that's probably as polished a solution as these new mesh networking consumer kits that are coming out.
So don't wrap your Luma or your Eero in aluminum foil.
No.
Yeah. Probably wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah, recycle your Pringles can.
Although that trick still might work on like a Nighthawk or something where you have to have it on one side.
Oh, yeah.
And something like
Yeah,
that.
there's a video on YouTube I actually did that with a Nighthawk. I made like a aluminum parabola, and I just kind of see it. It did make a little bit of a difference, but nothing like a 2016, 2017 device.
Yeah.
So of these devices, of let's just take even the three, the four, the Orbi, the Luma, the Aero, and even Google Wi-Fi's 3-pack. Is there a consensus as to which one's the best value right now if somebody's going to shell out the $400 or so?
Well, I haven't done bandwidth testing yet on them, but I'm going to tell you, when I've spoken to some of the more traditional router vendors like Linksys and Netgear, they kept making comparisons to Eero. So that leads me to think that probably Eero is leading the pack right now. And I think through the grapevine, I think that's the general consensus, even with some of the router analysts I've spoken with.
Okay, well, cool.
Yeah, and a lot of the new ones are capable of faster, but there's a big difference between capability and performance in the field, so to speak.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Tom, you just put a link to a potential.
Yeah, real quickly, Steve I in our chat room said, I've used Qualys vulnerability scanners in the enterprise before, and you might be able to try their free scanner at home if you want to scan your local network. So that's.
I wonder. I don't know if this is the case or not, but I always wondered if there are iOS or Android apps for phones that are on the Wi-Fi network that can do some of this. I don't know so much security scans. I know certainly you can get speed checks and that sort of thing, but. It'd be really cool if it was a way to do it with your mobile device, and you could also test for dead zones or weaker spots and things like that. But I say all of that knowing that you've said it a couple of times now that the software is really smart with these things. And that's the thing I'm most excited about. If there's been anything kind of wrong with the home networking world in the past, it's been cryptic, crummy, firmware broken software that's just not great no matter who's doing it. And either it's made to be so simple to use that they forget all the important stuff that needs to be under the hood, or it's so overly complicated or janky that nobody ever wants to use it again. And that gives me a lot of hope in this, that you're saying that software is not just smart but intuitive and easier to use. So I can't even imagine if it's going to get better with the second gen, then I say bring it on. Maybe we all need to wait 12 months.
Yeah. And, that's another reason why I think Eero is leading the pack. I think with not so much speeds and feeds, but everyone's telling me how easy it is to set up. Now, some of your viewers, they might want something more, nuts and bolts they can get their hands on. But I think for the average home user, they want to set it up, plug it in, they want it to work. And that's what I'm hearing is so great about Eero.
Yeah, I can back that up. The management software is fantastic. And even though I do like to go in and dig deep into the router, I don't like to have to. If I just want something really easy, and being able to run a speed test from my phone and just check, like, is there any problem on the line? Being able to send a text message to someone with a customized password that only they will use and it will time out and all of that. That's good stuff. The downside is it is cloud-based, so there is that chance that Eero's service has a problem, and then you have problems managing your router because of that, and you have to work around it.
Yeah, absolutely. That definitely is the problem.
Yeah, the one downside that I can think of, knock on wood, so far I haven't run into that yet.
Yeah, right.
Thanks to everybody who participates in our subreddit. You can submit stories and vote on them. That's how we come up with the stuff we talk about on the show. It's dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. Real quickly, our pick of the day comes from Kenji Yoshino, who says, for those interested in learning more about venture capital, like from yesterday's show, Startup Security Weekly discusses different startups, funding, and strategies from an InfoSec security startup's point of view. You can check that out at securityweekly.com/subscribe. Thanks for sending that, Kenji. Send your picks to us, folks. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. You can find more picks at dailytechnewsshow.com/picks. How did you deal with the great internet outage yesterday, Samara? Were you affected by that S3 outage at all yourself?
Yeah, I was trying to. A couple of sites. There are a couple of startups are trying to send me links to their site. We write about quite a few startups here at Black Enterprise, and I could tell the ones that were on AWS. I'm like, oh, you're on AWS. I can't get to your site, so it put me a little bit behind my work, but. That's about
It was a bummer. Yesterday was a real bummer across the board. I mean, for me, I couldn't post shows. I couldn't stream to Twitch for a while because all of Twitch is based on Amazon stuff, and there were all kinds of server issues and routing issues. And man, when an S3 server goes down, you realize, as much as we talk about being in Facebook's walled garden or Google's walled garden or whoever's walled garden on the internet, we're all in Amazon S3's walled garden.
Seems like, right? Yeah. I haven't talked to anybody who went untouched entirely, like at least something wasn't working. Brian, aka Electronic Eagle, wrote in and he says, look, you could probably do a whole episode just listing the services affected by the outage. What my small DevOps team saw yesterday was 4 of the 5 websites we maintain hosted in 3 different AWS regions failed simultaneously within a pingdom per minute scan. And the only site that didn't go down was hosted on AWS GovCloud in the US. The failure case is pretty easy to miss. The default North American API endpoint for the Amazon S3 storage service, s3.amazonaws.com, stopped working. Until recently, S3 didn't expose the same region structure as most of the other AWS services. So even if you ran across multiple availability zones or even multiple regions, there's a good chance your web servers were talking to the default S3 endpoint to handle image and document serving. There are region local S3 endpoints, but I don't know if they were working during the outage. We fixed our sites by flipping the switch to file serve images and static files directly from web servers. It was an Apollo 13 moment for our team, minus the cigarettes. They're trying to switch everything over to new servers mid-flight. There are a lot of folks out there saying that the 11 nines of reliability on AWS S3 is out the door, but read the fine print, folks. That is durability, the 11 nines. There are only 3 nines of availability on S3. And if you don't know what that means, it's 99.9% is 3 nines. It's really up to those of us developing cloud native systems to understand their limits. This is still better uptime than most enterprise environments achieve. You know who you are, he writes. Designed for 11 nines durability and 3 nines availability of objects over a given year, he cites from Amazon. So interesting insight there about that endpoint, because I was wondering about that too, where I'm like, okay, but if you're stored not in the Virginia S3 region, why would you be affected? And this could explain that.
Yeah. Plus, we haven't had anything like this since like 2011, the last big S3 outage. And it feels like that was yesterday, but so much uptime for the most part. And we just forget that, right? So I was trying really hard yesterday not to get too bummed about it. It's just that when it's in the moment and nothing can be accessed for that moment, it does feel like it's the worst thing ever. And why are we relying on Amazon? And oh no, the whole internet sucks. But really, it's like I think we can live with it once every 5, 6, 7 years.
Or we can all move to Estonia because T2T2 in the chat room says he slept through it. Lucky for him. Thank you, Scott Johnson, as always. What's going on real quick in your world?
Whole bunch of stuff. Boy, best thing to do right now. We redesigned the Frog Pants site, so it's a little easier to navigate, find the projects you want to find, the podcast, the art, the whatever. There's more being added, more being worked on there, but for the most part, it's done. Go to frogpants.com and check it out. There's live links to our Twitch page and ways to donate and help and support. All the podcasts have their own page. So go check it out. That's frogpants.com. And for all else, follow me on Twitter as always at Scott Johnson.
Samara Lynn, I cannot tell you how much fun it was to have you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. It was great. Thank you.
I'm glad you thought so. Let folks know where they can find more of what you're doing online.
You can read my articles at blackenterprise.com and also on Twitter at Samara Lynn. I'm always talking something techie.
Go check it out, Samara Lynn. That's 2 N's, SAMARALYNN. Follow her on Twitter and blackenterprise.com. It's also Patron Day, the first day of the month when we receive the generous support from folks who back us at patreon.com/DTNS. Thank you to every single person who supports us, whether it's on Patreon or PayPal or some other way. We couldn't do it without you. We are glad that you give a little value back for the value you get from the show. Quick programming note, Friday, we're going to have a Daily Tech Headlines in your feed, so don't freak out. You didn't miss the show. Patrick Beja and I are going to record our 5th show of the week on Saturday morning with Lertad from Thailand to talk about how people shop online differently there. They don't use carts. They don't use shopping carts. They don't have that metaphor. They don't trust that. It's interesting to hear a different way. And of course, we'll give our impressions on the Nintendo Switch. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. We're live Monday through Friday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern at alphageekradio.com and diamondclub.tv. And our website is dailytechnewsshow.com. Back tomorrow with Justin Robert Young. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
That was great.
It was great.
That's great.
It was really great.
Thank you again, Samara.
Oh, thank you so much, guys. It was a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
We appreciate it too. I know you've got to run. We're all busy, but please come back.
Thank you. Take care.
All right. Cheers.
Later. St. David's Day and Patron's Day. Maybe he could be. St. David was a patron.
Patron saint.
Patron
of podcasting. I don't know. He's patron saint of Wales, actually, not the animal, but the country.
All right.
Turkey.
Turkey.
I wonder if they have,
when Twitter's down. There you go.
wonder if they have a city of stuffing. All right.
City of stuffing.
A new angle on optical zoom. Meshing around. I like that one. Meshing around.
Meshing around is funny.
You can mute a tweeting egg.
Oh,
Do you ever
a new
that?
angle on optical zoom. I just got that one. That was pretty good too.
Oh,
that's
okay,
pretty
sorry.
good.
It's a little slow burn for me.
Pretty good.
Scott wants a Ronco router.
And it works.
Only $19.99.
Right.
The best camera you have is a Snapchat you have with you. This network is a mesh. Nodes, no routing. The meshy side of networking.
I really like this network as a mesh.
This network is a mesh.
That's really
Yeah, because it works two ways. It could either be mensch or a mesh.
This network is a
This
mesh.
network is a mensch. I gotta tell you who Eileen had breakfast with yesterday.
Oh.
Wait, it must be some famous Jewish person.
It was.
Jackie.
It's this
Let's
movie
get the
director.
title. Let's get
All
the
right.
title.
This network is a mesh.
I mean, I've kind of done. Is there anything else in there, Roger, that caught your eye? The Titans have fallen in price, except the Titans didn't fall in price. It was all the 1080s that fell in price.
Daily Tech Enmeshment Show.
Hmm.
I like the top. This network is a mesh is the one that works.
Yeah,
the best.
I think we got to go with that one.
Yeah, that's a winner.
City of stars. Are
Jackie,
you shining just for me?
the guy that played Krusty the Clown's dad on The Simpsons.
No, Larry King.
Oh, all right. Utah connection. He married a girl from BYU, like
Oh, is that right?
third his age.
Oh, yeah, good.
For him, huh?
I was about to say good for him, and then you said half his age, and it made me sound creepy suddenly.
Good for him. Well done.
Wait, you know,
I meant good for him marrying a Utah person. That age did not enter into it. That's fine.
How old is he?
I don't know.
83. She is.
Wait, don't
Married
give
Dawn King is her name. They married in 97.
Dawn King is her name.
DAWN, I'm guessing.
She must have some pretty tall hair.
Yeah. She must get real tired of that. Yeah.
I think she's 57 now. But also, I didn't realize there was currently a giant controversy about perhaps an affair. So
Oh dear. That's
Must
always the
be
way with
verticality.
celebrity
40
poop.
All right. This network is a mesh is
Yep.
in.
We're in.
Cemented.
And then our wives were constantly pinging each other during the show, Roger,
Yes, the food. The food.
about food. City of stars.
Get some motor oil. Motor oil, motor oil.
You guys are getting a fried chicken place in Burbank? Gus's world famous fried chicken.
We already have two fried chicken places. We have
But you don't
Dinah's.
have Gus's world famous.
You know, anything that puts world in front of famous usually is just famous locally. If maybe you could extend it out regionally. Our world famous fries, like no, it's not world famous. Unless maybe it was on the Travel Channel when they do their top 10.
I do love fried chicken, though. It is one of my favorites.
I like well done fried chicken. The thing is, it really has to be the right batter.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It comes in waves. I'm in a wave right now where I keep having a taste for it. But yeah, not every restaurant is going to make it to my satisfaction.
I remember having a fried chicken at a place where they still fried them in a large cast iron skillet. And so it wasn't like drenched in oil when you got it, which I really found odd because like this is not fried chicken the way I'm.
How is this possibly fried chicken?
How is this good for me?
Larry King's been married 8 times.
Oh, good for him.
I'm surprised.
You know, like if
we've moved on to fried chicken at this point.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I got distracted.
I've eaten at 8 different chicken places in my life. There, Mr. King, I'm on you.
I've eaten at more than 8 chicken places. I'm pretty sure.
Oh no, more. Yeah. Well, not.
What's
when
your
I say
favorite fried
places.
chicken, Scott?
My favorite fried chicken is probably like restaurant style. Obviously, is what you mean.
Well, yeah. What
I mean, I've had really
like
good fried chicken that people have made that.
Yeah, like homemade. That's true. I was thinking restaurants.
But if I'm going to sit down someplace, probably I really like El Pollo Loco here.
Oh, it's Pollo Loco is such a hit and miss.
I haven't had that in a while. We have so many of them around us here.
Yeah,
The ones down here are not that great.
We've got
the last one I ate at was over on Santa Monica Boulevard. It was fine. It was all right.
Like 2 here, and they're great. But I realize that may be an anomaly because there are things that we have here. Like I'll talk to friends who think Applebee's is the worst. We actually have a really good Applebee's near us, but I've been to an Applebee's in Colorado that was one of the worst places I've ever eaten in my life.
What was the fried chicken I had?
The best one I've had in a restaurant is here. I'll share this Yelp because I actually like this place enough.
Now we're not talking about like one place, like because I've been to places in Mississippi that were unbelievable, but I don't remember.
So wait, are you talking chains? Because this is not a chain. This is just a restaurant.
Yeah, if you're talking non-chain, then my answer is definitely not El Pollo.
Oh yeah, what's your non-chain answer then?
That's a good question because I don't remember any names of anything. Oh, wow. There's a place here called Carver's. It's way too expensive, but the fried chicken there is incredible. So I'm going to say Carver's. It's a steakhouse, but they have really good fried chicken.
If you're ever in San Francisco,
have I been to Carver's? I feel like I've been there.
Maybe.
Did I go there one Tacular?
Oh, 2011. Yeah, you and Veronica were there.
Yeah. I had steak, so I missed out on the fried chicken.
Yeah, it's really good.
Go to Auntie April's Chicken and Waffles if you're ever in San Francisco. It's really good.
We got fried chicken, and I can't find the name of the place, but they did. Remember Long John Silver's fish and chips batter?
Yeah.
They did that kind of batter on chicken.
Ooh, weird.
It was good.
It's like Japanese
panko.
Not panko.
Oh,
Tempura.
TV Zegon mentions Lolo's Chicken and Waffles in Phoenix, which reminds me of Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles here.
I have yet to try that place.
And then TV Zegon, because he also is a MASH fan, yells, "The chicken was a baby."
And a TMS fan, we bring that up too much.
Yeah, I know.
I'll tell you what, like, what's the place in Vegas that does? It's like breakfast food. Oh shoot, they were featured on one of those diners, dives and dashes things, and it's really good and won a bunch of awards. Anyway, that was good fried chicken, and it's like chicken and waffles kind of as well. I can't remember the name of that place. It's over in Culver City. That's the only thing I remember. Chicken. Vegas. The place I'm thinking of is called. Oh, Lolo's Chicken and Waffles is in Vegas too.
Oh, maybe that might be it.
That may be where I went. I can't remember.
Vegas. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm just always surprised at the number of really good restaurants you just stumble over in Vegas. There's just like
Good. I love
just so many people go through.
There's so many people with money.
Oh, there it is.
Winnings.
The one I'm thinking of is Hash House A Go Go, and they had the best. Okay, that's my answer. Hash House A Go Go fried chicken.
Hash House A Go Go.
See, that's one of Eileen's favorite breakfast foods is the hash.
Yeah,
the corned beef hash.
Twisted Farm Food. This one.
Which one?
The one on the screen. I'm sharing.
Oh yeah, Hash House. That's it. Yeah, Twisted. That's it.
They do bread. Ooh, Indiana hand. What does that even mean? Hand hammered pork.
Means it.
Did they beat the animal to death to claim its flesh?
No, it's afterwards. They tenderize.
Oh. Hammered pork.
That's a weird phrase.
To a pig. That's exactly right.
Hand hammered for your enjoyment. Dude, I got so hand hammered the other night.
You ever been to Vegas? There's a Italian restaurant. It's totally not chicken related, but there's an Italian restaurant called Capo's, like Capone or like a mob boss. And it's weird because you go into it through this very innocuous door, and when you go in, there's like no obvious way to enter. And so you knock, and then like a speakeasy, a door on the side magically appears, and it's like who sent you here? Like they try to do the whole.
Oh, so it's a shtick.
It's a shtick, but it's really good food. I was surprised.
All right.
Normally, shticky places tend to, skimp on the food.
Well, so there's that place Bourbon and Branch in San Francisco that does the same thing. You make a reservation, and they give you a password, and then you show up, and you have to. It says Temperance Society on the sign, and then you have to buzz them, and then they ask you for the password. The thing is, I found out the first time I went there that if you didn't have the password, they'd let you in anyway to check your reservation, and it's the same password for everybody. It's like, I'm like, I thought like my password was really going to be like my ticket in, and it turned like we gave the password, and then we went in, and they're like, so what's your name? I'm like, we just gave you the password. Why do you need our name? No names. No names.
Right, so this is, now I remember, this is the, here, I'll put the Facebook page of it. Hopefully there's nothing rude on it. But this
is rude. I like that.
No, not now.
That movie's rude.
If not now, when?
When who?
No, is this place in, I'm not sure if it was good a while ago when I went there in like 05, 06. But it's called Cock of the Walk, and it's in Maumelle, Arkansas, right outside of Little Rock, and they had the best fried chicken I ever had.
I'll believe that.
Unfortunately, they also used the same. Unfortunately or unfortunately, they used the same batter for the fried catfish, so it tasted sort of the same when you first bite into it. But they also did these little cast iron skillet cornbread with jalapenos and hot peppers in it. Oh,
that sounds really good. The Verge put Pilot X on their list of sci-fi to read in March.
Shut up.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That was very nice of them. I thanked Andrew Liptek on Twitter for including it. Also, I have to write a guest post about it for John Scalzi's blog, whatever. It's not whatever.com, I don't think. And I'm really nervous about it because I don't want it to be bad. It's whatever.scalzi.com.
Well, he's a pal, right? He'll be okay. He'll be fine.
He's a really nice guy. Yeah.
I like him.
And I'm, it's one of those things where I'm such a big fan of his work. I don't want to send him something. Not that he's going to be mean, but I don't want him to have to send it back and be like, yeah, this isn't going to work.
My favorite quote about your book is from Publishers Weekly, where they say, a retro space opera for readers who enjoy seasoning their planetary romps with a dash of cynicism. I can almost hear like Lilith Crane say that on an old episode.
That's what the place in Culver City did with the chicken. They seasoned it with a dash of cynicism. That's why I liked it so much.
That's amazing.
I like, what was the other thing that they said? Appropriately convoluted.
Veronica's quote is great. Full of timey-wimey goodness.
Yeah.
That's great.
Are there any puns in it? Yes.
Guaranteed, right?
There's, in fact, a whole planet of puns, actually.
I think that's awesome.
Planet of the Puns. That's not called Planet of the Puns. It's not that bad. But the whole Pineapple Planet. See, I want that to catch on. And now with Pineapple Pen, which I heard two teenagers talking about Pineapple Pen yesterday at the grocery store. I'm like, it's still hot.
Super hot.
Or they're like way out of it.
I can't say pineapple or pen to anybody without them saying, "Oh, it's like that meme." And they start talking about it. It's impossible.
I think I put the Pineapple Planet chapter up on Inkshares as one of the sample chapters. It's one of my favorite little
Apple Planet.
It's the Pineapple Planet. There are no pineapples there.
Yeah,
is the phrase that it's one of those phrases that people say in this world. And then there's a chapter that explains the whole thing about why it got called that.
Yep.
314 release date. Well, let's just read it to you now.
Yeah. Why not?
All right, SoundCloud's finally uploading. They were laggy. Yesterday, I think it was the S3 stuff, but
it was S3. I couldn't upload it all yesterday. It was awful.
I avoided it for Daily Tech Headlines, but I got caught by it with DTNS.
Yeah, I had a bunch of people saying they could get like every other show downloaded from the point of the end user, and I thought, what is that about? So I think there was a lot of caching and different servers were up. But some,
yeah.
So it was weird.
But I couldn't upload for a while. I used Archive. I just put it on archive.org until SoundCloud came back.
Yeah, that's
what I swapped the links.
Whole nother cloud.
I'm excited you're going to be on Damn Fine Podcast.
Yeah, it'll be good. Glad we finally got some dates worked out.
That show's really fun now.
I'm going to be newbie as hell because I don't remember much, but between now and then, I'm going to try to remind myself of everything.
Well, yeah, just watch that one episode. It'll bring everything back, I think.
Yeah.
And we've had all ranges of people, like people who had not rewatched it in years. And this most recent episode we recorded is a guy who wrote the online recaps and has watched it, a million times and like knows every little thing. So there's all ranges of people.
Nice.
All ranges of people.
This network is a mesh.
It's such a mesh.
Yeah, I ended up doing kind of just basically have the router in my father-in-law's room, and then I just run a really long flat cable. I need to run it under the house, but I'll do it during the summer. That's
what I do here because I want this streaming box to be wired. I don't trust Wi-Fi that much yet. My trust issues with Wi-Fi are going away to some extent, but not quite yet. But for upstairs, I do Wi-Fi for everything, even like Netflix. And it works fine, but there was I had the router that's over in the garage by the fiber optic, right? That's the first one of the Eros. Then I had it going upstairs into the office because the office used to have problems getting connection. And then I went from the office over to the other side of the house, and that was too far. So the one on the other side of the house kept losing connection and was kind of unreliable. So I moved it. I actually did the little tutorial thing, and it said, well, move it over here. I'm like, oh, well, I can move it into the kitchen. Didn't seem like that would make that much of a difference, but it totally did.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I just turned my other router into an access point.
I'm going to go mesh for sure. I don't know when. I don't know how, but I'm gonna.
Do you have issues? You should make your SSID 4077.
Incoming wounded.
Incoming packets.
Incoming broken packets. All hands. All surgeons report to the router.
We got incoming. All right, folks. We will be back tomorrow with Justin Robert Young. Don't forget, no show. Well, not no show Friday. The Friday show is on Saturday. So I guess it's not the Friday show.
No. Saturday morning.
Yeah, Saturday morning. Which I guess there won't be anybody that's still. Would it still be Friday for someone at that point? Like in the islands before the dateline, maybe? I don't know.
Hawaii?
Yeah. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh,